G'day guys, welcome to a new live stream. Unfortunately, we cannot go live today. We're having some technical difficulties with our third party, but that's not going to stop us delivering the most important news in cryptocurrencies and blockchain for you guys. So let's strap in and let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off with Ethereum maximalist Mark Cuban, who says the crypto crash reminds him of Warren Buffett's advice that he told him when the tide goes out, you get to see who is swimming naked. So the cryptocurrency market is seeing a flash of failed or struggling projects amid a rough downturn that's left investors fearful over what's to come. Looking ahead, billionaire Mark Cuban says extinction. Now, during the bull market in stocks and crypto, you normally will see companies that were sustained by cheap, easy money. But in the bear market, we uncovered that they didn't have the valid business projects and prospects, and those companies will disappear. So the Shark Tank investor and Dallas Mavericks owner told Fortune that obviously Warren Buffett says when the tide goes out, you get to see who's swimming naked. So basically uncovering all the bad projects and the good ones will obviously stay afloat. Now, this event happens in every bear market. Lots of projects get flushed out, and the first major casualty of this cycle was Terra, and obviously now we're talking about Celsius, but a third one has arisen, which is Babel Finance, which has also frozen withdrawals of crypto assets to their customers. So all in all, these types of daily news floods are not uncommon, especially in a bear market. I remember back in 2018, all you could hear is FUD, China banning crypto, US banning crypto. It just continuously goes on. We then have a stability in price, and then news starts becoming, more positive with adoption and things like that. All right, moving on to FTX, acquires a Canadian exchange to expand its presence in North America. So they're the second largest crypto exchange by trading volume, and they announced their expansion into North America by acquiring Canadian trading platform BitVo. The newly acquired company will continue serving the Canadian market as it's integrated into the FTX global team. So according to the official release, the acquisition will be expected to be completed in Q3 of 2022. As it is currently subject to regulatory approval and customary closing conditions. So BitVo was founded in 2008 and registered as a restricted dealer under the securities law of all provinces and territories in Canada. Thus, the company is eligible to offer crypto trading services across the country. So great companies come out of the bear markets and thrive during turbulent times. And FTX is obviously a great company with great leadership. And obviously they're pushing forward, much like Binance. I did hear that Binance is also looking to expand its employment and the amount of people under them. So I think a lot of people are going to be sort of striving, especially those big crypto companies. They're going to continue pushing forward no matter market conditions. Next one is Raoul Pal. Okay, he's the CEO of Global Macro Investor. He predicts that the bottom in crypto is in the next 5 weeks, saying that he's going to be heavily buying as of next week. And he talks about comparing the current bear market to the violent crypto plunge in 2014, while suggesting that the ongoing bloodbath could be a 10x opportunity for investors. You've heard us talk about this multiple times in the DC live stream. Myself with Sim and Michael actually buying plenty right now in the bear market, because we know obviously in the next 4 years when we hit the next cycle, things are going to go crazy once again. So in a Twitter thread on Tuesday, Paul said that as a macro investor, he expects global assets will largely recover in 12 to 18 months as inflation and recession will be in the rearview mirror. And he believes the Fed will lower interest rates despite the commodity prices possibly hiking up in the coming year and a half. So while most of us are in the market right now are selling off, or most retail investors are selling off, he's buying, which so he's saying that there's a great opportunity. And like ourselves, I keep telling you guys, we're buying in the bear market because we know we need to go against the herd. We've been retail investors. We know exactly what it's like to see panic, to feel fear, to be over leveraged or overexposed into assets that are dying. And it's really important that now, because we have been educated and we have the knowledge and the experience of going through multiple bear markets, we know that this is the best time to start investing. Next one is Adam Back maintains his prediction of $100,000 Bitcoin by the year end. Now, despite the recent pullback of the cryptocurrency market, the British cryptographer and an outspoken supporter of Bitcoin thinks the asset could tap 100K by the end of the year. He also admits he kept buying amounts of BTC for the HODL long term. I know that he's a big whale. I think he's also worked on the Bitcoin code. He's one of the big Bitcoin OGs. So if you haven't heard of him, maybe Google him and know a little bit about his background. Basically, Bitcoin's always come out of the bear market stronger, with more investors, coming in, breaking all-time highs over and over again. And the best time to invest in Bitcoin is, I'll leave it blank, so you can obviously know exactly when it is the right time to buy. And by the way, I will also leave in the comment section of today's video a link for our bottom indicator. It's an email subscription. Just drop your email in there and we will let you know when we are buying back into the market, because we have been dollar cost averaging, but we still got a lump sum of side cash that we're ready to inject back into the crypto market when we believe the bottom is in. Next one is, despite the market meltdown, our rider of BlackRock admits Bitcoin is a durable asset. So the chief investment officer of investment management firm BlackRock said investors should not focus on the cryptocurrency market meltdown, but look at the long-term prospects. Zoom out and you'll understand. If you're seeing a lot of what we're seeing now is a lot of the leverage that was built up around the crypto market, which happens, we get a lot of open interest, a lot of people leverage long into Bitcoin thinking it's going to go to $1 million and end up getting wrecked. That's why we see a lot of these huge and quick falls in the price. Basically, Bitcoin could become what is meant to be, which is digital gold. The markets are melting, the stock market is down, inflation is everywhere, gas prices increased almost every week, and the housing market is about to crash as well. Where I'm living in the Gold Coast, petrol right now is about $2.40 a litre, which is pretty crazy. So fiat currencies around the world are losing value. You might see another major flight to safety once the dust settles and the sell-off is over. Bitcoin could be the primary asset to hold in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, let's get into our Twitter highlights. Peter Schiff, don't get excited about Bitcoin being back above 20K. 20 is the new 30. This is just another bull trap. Nothing drops in a straight line. In fact, a slow motion crash has been extremely orderly. No sign yet of any capitulation that typically forms a bear market. I do agree with this purely for the fact that you can get what are called dead cat bounces. You're going to get relief rallies. Not everything goes down in a straight line unless you're Terra Luna. But that being said, he's always been against Bitcoin. If I want to give you a bit of advice, his son's a big Bitcoin holder and they always go back and forth on Twitter. So sometimes it's good to follow the old Peter Schiff to have a bit of a daily laugh. Next is Ben Armstrong, possible Solana rebrands, so long, Solana, no, pause network, wish.com, ETH. So basically what Ben is talking about is the issues that Solana consistently has, halts, outages, bugs in their blockchain. And this is the reason why it's very important to belong to a great community. So you will be alerted to news like this. It's critical to consolidate your assets to then into solid ones during a bear market. And that's why we see Bitcoin dominance move up during the bear market, because everyone exits their alts or the risky assets and goes back into old granddad Bitcoin. Next one is Lynn Alden. The global monetary system has been broken for decades. Ask anyone from emerging markets. Developed countries push volatility onto them, and human rights battles are in large part of the freedom to transact. Censorship resistant money is important to people. Don't miss it. So she's obviously referring to the modern monetary theory. It's an economic theory that suggests that the government should simply create more money without consequences, as it's the issuer of the currency, according to the Federal Bank of Richmond. In Breakout Solutions, for example, we refer to this as the financial matrix. So if you haven't seen our financial matrix video, I'll also add that into the comments below our bear market bottom indicator email. So please feel free to watch that video. It's about 7 minutes, and I think it's going to really open up your eyes into what's actually going on in the financial system and the governments and how they're manipulating, obviously, the economy to better themselves, but also make life a lot tougher for us. So the role for Bitcoin is for people to have money that is censorship resistant, free from any government control and free from the monetary printing machines. And we're going to talk about another country that's obviously adopted Bitcoin right in a second. So Next is the Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins. Okay, Bitcoin under 20K feels like an overreaction. The underlying fundamentals, adoption and infrastructure has never been stronger. We saw the irrational top. This feels irrational in the other direction. Okay, so basically he's referring to the lower end predicted bottom of the bear market. In previous bear markets, we never break the all-time high. It's obviously dipped below the previous all-time high. We hit the 786 fib retracement. I do still believe we could go to 13K, which is the 85% retracement from all-time high to the previous bear market, because we did that in both previous cycles, and I posted something on that on my personal page, so feel free to head over to my personal page if you want to see one of those cool little graphs that I put up recently. So moving on to the last tweet by CoinGecko: all eyes on USDD as it temporarily slips below 93 cents. The stability of USDD is secured by over-collateralizing it. The collateral ratio is currently sitting at 323%. So if you've been in the space long enough, you know that Justin Sun is the CEO of Tron, and he obviously developed USDD on the Tron blockchain. It was a fork, and he named it the Ethereum killer, but obviously this is depegging. Terra Luna depegged. USDT was starting to depeg a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot of these stable coins that seem to be struggling. We prefer USDC, which is the Coinbase stable coin, because it's actually pegged and backed by their reserves, and they're not printing fake money. So make sure that whenever you are transferring to stable coins, you go to either back into fiat or you choose one that has a good history. All right, moving on to adoption highlights. So the largest airline in Spain, Vueling, accepts Bitcoin as its method of payment. So Vueling and BitPay have reached an agreement that will make it possible for customers of the airliner to pay using cryptocurrencies. In order for the Spanish airline to provide this service, they will use a technology which enables a quick integration process, according to a report by PR Newswire. And starting in the year 2023, anyone will be able to make use of this service, which will be accessible through the company's website, making them the first low-cost airline in Europe to accept cryptocurrencies. So we're getting to the stage now where all you'll be doing is flying around with your mobile phone. There we are. And basically you'll have no need for cash. You won't need your passports because they're working on a digital passport. You'll have your vaccines all on your phone. And basically the only issue is if you cannot afford a smartphone, it's going to be an issue for you. But I think everyone's getting to that stage, even in some poorer countries where people have smartphones. They may not be iPhones, but they do work. And so soon enough, we won't be needing a lot of paperwork when we're traveling, which is great. Next one is the Central African Republic. The president of the Central African Republic says Bitcoin adoption is in the right path during the hard times. So despite the cryptocurrency market getting caught in a bearish slump, it lacks no optimistic supporters, including the president. And and being the second country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as its legal tender, he acknowledges that it's a disruptive power to bring long-term prosperity. Now, the future generations will look behind at these very moments to celebrate our strength and unity in choosing the right path during hard times. So that was one of his quotes that he said in a recent press conference. So obviously they're moving along with El Salvador, which is really interesting to see. Now, the best time for adoption is during the bear market, when there's no hype. Real price discovery happens during the bear market, when the majority of investors are scared and selling their position, and this is where we end up finding a bottom, and then obviously people start accumulating, and the next bull run does continue. Next one is Tagger launches a smartwatch feature that supports and displays its NFT, and I actually brought it up right here. It's just going for a cool $2,500, which is pretty slick, and obviously you'll be able to. The great thing about this is you'll be able to connect it to some of your wallets, which include MetaMask and Ledger. So you'll be able to go around, display your NFTs. It's probably better than carrying around a TV or a tablet showing your friends what you've bought. But basically, why this caught my attention is not only because you can connect it to some wallets that I just said, Ledger and MetaMask, but if you remember, I don't know if you do, depending how old you are, there used to be like Digimons where you used to obviously play and like battle against people with your Digimon. There was, Pokemon game, there were cards and so forth. In the future, kids are going to be trading assets via, their phone, being able to display it on their, watches and cool things like that. And I guess this is kind of like the old school way of where you used to have that really long keychain around your pants, and you'd look really cool with your jeans, and the keychain would just hang, and it's just basically displaying sort of your personality, your self-worth, but this time it's going to be digital assets. Obviously maybe a bit of an expensive watch for a kid, but look, I'm sure there'll be cheaper options coming about in the near future. So look, if you can afford it, why not? It is a Tagger, which is an amazing brand, but yeah, these are some of the cool things happening in the cryptoverse right now, and lots of companies are jumping on the bandwagon with everything that surrounds cryptocurrencies and NFTs and blockchain. And we're going to talk about something else in a second regarding blockchain. Next one is Meta introduces digital fashion marketplace partnering with Balenciaga, Prada, and Tom Brown. So they're launching a digital fashion marketplace, and it's going to be in order to launch their partnered companies, their fashion inside the metaverse that they're creating, which is pretty cool. So Zuck says, I'm really grateful and proud that these brands are joining us to kick off fashion in the metaverse. And he was on a live call with Eva Chen, who's Instagram's director of fashion and partnerships, when he obviously talked about that. So they're going really big in digital assets. They're working hard in the bear market, like all companies that strive. Look, obviously you may not be a fan of Facebook, but one of the great things about Facebook, much like the iPhone, it's connected people around the world. So you may hate him, but obviously this was the first stepping stone in regards to being able to connect with friends, family members, old school sweethearts all across the world. And when we can connect together, I think that brings us and creates more unity, but sometimes can also disconnect us from the reality, which is people close to us, that live also close to us. Alrighty, so Meta is going big on digital assets, and basically they're investing a lot in their. I don't know if you ever saw their YouTube video where they're doing their metaverse. It looks pretty cool because they've obviously got a lot of capital. They can invest in some big graphic designers, and they're obviously going to be trying to bring digital workspaces together, people like Google Hangouts or Zoom meetings, and this all will be done obviously inside their metaverse, which is kind of cool. I'm not too sure about wearing a VR headset all day. You might get some neck pains, but look, that's what they're doing, and I'm sure, like many people, and like the movie Ready Player One, a lot of people are going to enjoy being in these sort of metaverses because maybe it's a great getaway away from their real life. Maybe they enjoy their digital life a lot better than their real life. So there's going to be a lot of benefit for certain people that feel like they can be more themselves, especially in a digital world. All right, moving on to the last news article for today, and the UAE is using blockchain to release its most expensive modern postage stamp. So the UAE has been the forefront of adopting blockchain and ensuring that the region embraces crypto innovation. They're tapping into blockchain now, utilizing blockchain for collectibles, and doing that through the Emirates Post Group. So this is a government-owned post office that will be behind the most expensive modern postage stamp. The stamp will be used to celebrate the country's 50th anniversary and its foundation date. And the group is releasing the first edition of the modern postage stamp with 4 editions. Every physical stamp in the collection will come with a digital version that has been created through blockchain technology. So more and more countries are recognizing the importance of blockchain, which is great, and the applications are endless. Pretty soon, everything will be on the blockchain. Alrighty, guys, and let's move on lastly to the technical analysis. So right now we're seeing a bit of a bounce since we hit the 786 fib retracement. And for those of you guys that don't know what a fib retracement is, it's basically a percentage from 2 points, right? So we're going to grab the fib retracement. We're going to do it from the Corona dump. So right here where COVID got announced and the whole market crashed, you bring it to the top. And we can see here, this 0.236 means 23% from here to the bottom. So if I get my ruler out and I go from here to here, you can see that is 22.36%, which is basically 0.23. So obviously I'd have to zoom in, and you do the same thing. 382 is 38.2%, 50%. Now the 618 and the 66, which is called the golden pocket, this is the normal area that we get retracements, and you can see back here last year, I should say, in August and July. This is where we hit the golden pocket, and then we had another rally to the upside only to come back down. But the other day, basically, we touched perfectly the 786. I did do a post on my personal page, as I mentioned, that in previous bull runs, Bitcoin has retraced to the 0.85% retracement. So that's why I still think we could come lower. We might get a bit of a relief rally, come back up here, maybe maximum 25K, and then roll over one more time before sort of settling down for a couple of months sideways, and then we commence the next run to the upside. So things in the short term are kind of looking okay. I can see that money flow on some of the lower time frames, the 1 hour to the 4 hour, is coming back into the market. So when you can see the flow of money entering and exiting the market, this is where you can make better decisions with what's happening with the price action. So we can see here, this red wave is money flow. It is curving now up to the upside on the 4 hour. So we're going to need a little bit more time to see some action here. But on the 1 hour, you can see that we finally breached from red to green, which is great. That's why we're seeing a bit of a pump. Bitcoin right now is currently in a bit of a rising channel. Now, these rising channels, if they break to the upside, you can get a really big pump, but I don't really see us going too crazy in the short term. And if we do break the downside, then obviously you look for previous touch points as areas of support. So that is basically it. I do think that we are going to feel a little bit of resistance around the major numbers, 22, 23, 24, 25K. People's, it's a psychological thing to look at round numbers, especially when it comes to trading, and especially around that $20,000 mark. Every $1,000 move or close to it is sort of 5%, which is a pretty good return, especially if you're leverage trading. But that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this. If you've watched it not live, but obviously on replay, we apologize for today's technical difficulties, and we will aim to be back with you on Friday for our live stream at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's it from me. Enjoy your week, and we'll catch you guys on Friday. Bye.